Okay, our next depreciation method is called double declining balance, right? Now this one's way different. This is an accelerated method. Remember the other one was what? Straight line, behave that straight across. This is a method that takes more depreciation early in the life of the asset and less later on. We would use this if maybe we had an asset that was more productive in its early life, and we got the most usefulness out of it in the first part of its life. So we would measure that period a little harsher as far as using it up, right? So double declining balance. Now this one's a little bit different than straight line. We're going to assume we bought the same asset, $250,000, $20,000 salvage value, 5-year useful life, right? Now declining balance is a little different, like I said, because now to get my depreciation expense, I take my book value of the asset times this rate that we're going to talk about to get my depreciation expense, right? Now, we got to come up with this rate. We got to figure out what it is. And now the rate's based on the useful life of the thing. So this is a 5-year asset, right? Well, 1/5 is going to equal what? 20%. 20%, right? 1/5 is 20%, but it's double declining balance. So I take that rate times 2 to get a rate of 40%. So when we're getting depreciation expense, we're going to take the book value of the asset times 40%, right? So there's our simple little formula. I'm going to build, I'll scoot this up here a bit. I'm going to build the same table, book value at the beginning of the year, depreciation expense, and book value at the end of the year, and we have the year, right? And then year 1. My book value at the beginning of the first year when I first buy this thing is what? $250,000, right? Now, to get to depreciation expense, I'm going to take that book value, $250,000, times my rate that we just figured of 40%, which means the first year I'm going to depreciate it by $100,000. That's what I book into my adjusting journal entry. So my book value at the end of the year is $150,000. Okay? Book value times the rate gets us the depreciation expense, and then we just apply what we already know. 2, my second year, $150,000 is my book value at the beginning. Book value times my rate of 40%, so 40% by $150,000 means second year is what? $60,000. And 150 minus 60 means my book value at the end, $90,000. Look what's happening to my depreciation expense. It's going down, right? Because we said this is what? Accelerated method. More depreciation early in the life, less later on. This book value is just going to keep going down and down and down, right? $90,000 times my rate of 40,000 means $36,000. For a book value of $54,000. Okay, so there's year 3, year 4. I bring my $54,000 down, and I start that as my book value in year 4. Right, 54,000 times 40% means 21,600. Right. Giving me an ending book value, 32,454 less than 21,600, 32,400. Now, our last year, we got to pay close attention. 32,400. We know that this last number has to be what? It has to be $20,000 because that's my salvage value. So, if we do the math, I should have this done. Let me calculate that real quick. We got what? We got 32,400 times 40%. If I take that times 40%, I get 12,960. Well, if I subtract that from 32,400, that means it's going to be too small, right? So I have to just do what with this number? I have to plug it, right? Because we can't depreciate it below salvage value. And if I take 32 four times 40%, that would be too big, right? So I take the difference between 32.4 and 20,000, and I just plug it. That would be what, 12,400, right? So we deviated from our book value times the rate idea because we couldn't depreciate this thing below salvage value. So we had to pay attention. We don't have that problem in straight line depreciation because the math all works nice and even, right? But declining balance is a little different because we didn't pay any attention to salvage value until when? The very end, right? When we're calculating all this stuff, we didn't even talk about salvage value, and we didn't talk about salvage value until we got to where? The end of year 5, right? So this last one we got to pay careful attention to. Everything else was just the scheme, right? 250,000 times 40%. 150,000 times 40% gives us 60, right? And on down the line until the very end, we just did what? Plugged it, right? Filled up that, made that number be whatever it had to be, right? So that is the concept of double declining balance depreciation.